All right, so this is a 5-star review of the KitchenAid all-purpose kitchen shears. Now, they are kitchen shears. You use them to cut things in your kitchen. But I like these shears. I give them 5 stars for 5 reasons. Reason number 1, they're really easy to use. Unlike most scissors that are designed just for right-handed people, you can use them with either hand, and I am left-handed. Reason number 2, they have really pointy tips, unlike normal scissors, so you can get into really tight spaces and still cut. Reason number 3, they're made of stainless steel, which means they're really, really strong. You can cut a tin can with them. Reason number 4, one night I was finishing dinner and I was watching my 2 dogs play. Now I have 2 dogs. Little Anne, who's a hound dog, about 45 pounds, super cute, but older, middle-aged. And Spock, a young male German Shepherd who is just a nut, right? So he's about 65 pounds, black fur, tan markings, pointy ears, hence the name, based on the Star Trek character. Now, Spock's always trying to get Little Anne to play with him, but he doesn't really know how to play, so what he was just doing was basically just jumping at Little Anne's face over and over again. And Little Anne was finally like, okay, fine, I'll play with you. And so they jumped at each other, basically to like connect head on. And what happened next was really freakish. See, Spock was wearing what we call a martingale collar. If you're a dog person, you might know what that is. What it is it's a dog collar that goes around a dog's neck, right? And then it has a little loop on the side of it that if you pull on that little loop, it tightens the big loop around the dog's neck. Idea being that if the dog pulls on the leash, right, the big loop will tighten so that the dog can't back out of the leash when they're trying to, get somewhere. What happened here was that Little Anne, who has a small snout, her lower jaw went through the little loop of Spock's collar all the way to the back so that that little loop stuck behind her eye teeth here. And what she did immediately was freaked out, started yelping, and tried to run away. But she's attached to Spock's neck, so that big loop immediately tightened around Spock's neck and cut off his breathing and his circulation. So I run over to the dogs and I yell for my wife. I yell, "Meg!" in a way that suggested it was time for her to come downstairs right away. She comes running downstairs. And I'm trying to pull this collar off of Little Anne's mouth, but it's not working. It's a pretty tough collar, and it's way back there, and it's way stuck. And I'm trying to yank it off of her mouth, and she's yelping and freaking out, and I can already see Spock losing consciousness. So my wife comes downstairs. She's trying to pull the dogs apart too, but it's not working. And I realize, look, this collar's got to go. So I yell to my wife, "Get scissors," right? She runs across the living room and grabs scissors, comes running back to cut off the collar, but they're desk scissors. They're dull. They won't cut through the collar. And by this time, Spock's been foaming at the mouth and he's losing consciousness. It's only been about 30 seconds. And so we're trying to rotate Little Anne's face and try to get her away, and I realize that's not going to work either. And then I see Spock defecate. He poops. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this dog can't breathe and is suffocating. So I tell my wife, just hold the dogs together as much as possible. That should reduce the pressure on Spock's collar, right? And I run into the kitchen where on a hook, where they should be, are the KitchenAid all-purpose kitchen shears. World Cafe Live, I covered the distance between the kitchen and the living room faster than I ever have in the 8 years we've lived in that house, and I dove on top of Spock. It was a little bit of an awkward angle to get at the collar, but fortunately the KitchenAid all-purpose kitchen shears are easy to use, and I was able to get in there with my left hand. That collar is incredibly tight around Spock's neck. I couldn't even get my finger in there, but I could get the KitchenAid all-purpose kitchen shears in there because of the pointy tips. And they are so strong. Stainless steel, I cut right through that collar in one quick cut, and it pops open. Little Anne takes off upstairs. Spock slumps to the ground, and there's this pause where we're waiting for Spock to wake back up. And then he does. He pops up, kind of woozy, looks around, then looks down at the ground and back up at us with a look that's like, hey, who pooped? And aside from a little bit of a bite, a little ant bit me as I was trying to get the collar off, we were fine. And my wife and I just kind of stood there for about an hour, like, holy crap, that really happened. And that was about a year and a half ago. And during that time, we talk about that night sometimes about whether that was a really bad thing that happened or a really good thing that happened, right? Because we really were in the right place at the right time. And what I really think about is all the cool times I've had with Spock since then. He is a great dog. He's a little bit of a handful sometimes, but he is totally a shepherd. Like, when we ever are feeling bad or sick, he will lay down on top of us in bed until we feel better. He's a great swimmer. He loves to watch the leaves fall. He's great with kids, and he's really great with foster puppies. We brought in a few foster puppies, and he thinks it's his job to make the puppy feel welcome. So he'll bring the puppy toys and play with the puppy, and he'll let the puppy win, even though he outweighs that dog by 50 pounds. And I think about all those great experiences I've had with him, and that I'm going to still have with him, that I get to have because when I needed it, I was able to get my hands on the KitchenAid, all-purpose kitchen shears. Reason number 5, they're dishwasher safe. Thanks very much.